Hello, welcome to the NourishCaveman.com, where Vivica certified technician in whole foods nutrition, presents Nutrition in the Kitchen.
Hello everybody and welcome. Today I am so pleased to introduce my guest, an old friend, Leanne Vogel. We have video chatted before. On the other side, she interviewed me, and today I get to interview her for Nutrition in the Kitchen. And yes, I'm not in the kitchen, as you might see behind me, but you don't want to see my kitchen right now. So I thought we do this interview in a more proper place.
That's a great idea because my kitchen is a total mess right now.
It happens, right? When you use the kitchen, it gets messy.
True.
So, welcome, Leanne. Leanne is a holistic nutritionist, and she is the genius wizard behind the blog Health Food Pursuit. And she also has an amazing YouTube channel. And she basically talks about every possible subject related to a ketogenic diet that you guys might want to know about. And she has great answers for everything, every topic. And I love Leanne so much because we are very much on the same page as far as keto nutrition and keto paleo concern. And so I really like chatting with her because we agree on most things. I'm on pretty much everything.
Yeah, it makes for a nice, smooth conversation.
Yeah, right? So today we're going to talk about a topic that I know is a big topic for a lot of people. And especially if you started a keto journey, there's going to be a moment where everything is doing well and then bonk, you hit a wall and your weight stalls and like the magic pill suddenly stops working and you wonder what is going on. So today we're talking about weight loss stalls within the context of a ketogenic diet. And Leanne has a lot of awesome ideas. So I would like to start talking with her, first of all, about what do you think can trigger a stall when you are on a keto journey for weight loss? What's your idea on that?
There's so many things. Okay. My experience with the stall that I had when I first adapted was after I lost the water weight. Mm-hmm. It was like my body was like, okay, we're good. We're done. We don't need to lose anymore. We're good. So what I found super helpful and what helped me get over that initially was making sure that I was hydrating well. So I started having what I call a keto lemonade, which is a mixture of fresh lemon juice. And I actually made one here. There's just a little bit left now. Fresh lemon juice, aloe vera gel, like the stuff that you can actually drink, not the gel like for first aid stuff. Don't eat that. Don't eat that. And Himalayan rock salt. You can even use gray sea salt. It's a little bit hardcore. Water, and in this one I used a little bit of brewed tea. So I have like a raspberry tea that I brew, and it's only just a little bit and it adds a little fruitiness. And so I drink that, and that was really helpful for helping me get over the plateau of making sure that I was hydrated enough. Because what can happen is that when we've lost the water weight and we've started to adapt, our body's like, no, wait, we don't have enough fluids, and shut down. So
that's funny because I have almost the same exact recipe on my blog as a keto electrolyte drink. You see, good minds think alike.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, so I found that when I started incorporating that, not only did it help me get over that initial plateau, but it also helped me, like balance my energy. I mean, I used to get pins and needles when I first adapted, especially in my fingers and my toes. And as soon as I started hydrating well, making sure that I was having those electrolytes, because that's what is really important, I went over that hump. So that's one of the ways that you can get over a weight loss stall. A more complicated weight loss stall is a broken metabolism weight loss stall.
Yes. We see a lot of those, don't we?
Oh my gosh. Like I saw it personally, majorly after. So I was rocking and rolling. I lost so much weight so quickly on keto. It was phenomenal. Like within 30 days, I was down 20 pounds,
Wow.
more than 10% body fat. Like, it was just like, boom, like,
Mhm.
boom, bam, done. And what I noticed, though, like, after about the 6th month period, a lot of stuff, bad things hit the fan. I was like, I was eating way too low carb for too long, restricting my calories. And this had been an ongoing thing. Like, I had been restricting calories for oodles and oodles and oodles of years. I probably, the last time I ate enough for my actual body was probably when I was 12. So it had been a really, really long time. So for me personally, once I reduced my calories, I think I was sitting around the 1100 mark on average, 1100 calories a day. And even if I thought of a cookie, I would gain weight. Like, I'm thinking of a cookie and then I gain 2 pounds the next day. And that is actually, like, that's actually a real thing. When people say, like, I thought of a cookie and I gained weight.
It spikes your insulin.
Exactly.
Totally.
So your body's preparing to eat the cookie and then the cookie doesn't come.
Yeah. I know.
So that's a whole other piece of the weight loss doll. But when we're in this space of not eating enough for our body starts to shut down processes. And one of those initial processes for women is our sex hormones. And our sex hormones are so closely intertwined with our cortisol and our thyroid and that axis. I like to call it a 3-legged stool because when one piece of the stool,
remember?
Totally. When the leg,
like it was like the triangle, and you're like the stool.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, we like finish each other's sentences. I remember. So like with that triangle and that or stool, when one leg is kind of pushed over a little bit, all the other legs are kind of topply, right? So with cortisol, if we have too much or too little cortisol, that can also cause like that belly gain that we can get, like right down in the bottom piece below our belly button. It's kind of there and pudgy and not so comfortable. And so that can be another way. By not eating enough, we're affecting our hormones, which are causing issues with our cortisol and our thyroid, which is throwing off our weight. And when our thyroid is out, like we talked about this, it's really, 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 really hard to lose weight with a thyroid that's not working.
Let me bring you back for a second, because like I want this point to be very clear, because you know I have issues with a lot of my patients. They kind of freak out on me when we start my program because I put them on a much higher calorie than they've ever been to, and they're like, I'm gonna gain weight because you know I've never eaten this much, I can't finish and I'm not hungry. And I'm like, you have to eat. You have to make yourself eat. And sometimes I think it's okay. Maybe they'll gain a pound or two in the first couple of weeks, but there is no other way really to boost your metabolism. And do you agree with me on that? That you need to really reset from ground zero in order to do that?
Yeah, it's so true. So from my 1100 calorie intake, there's a little bit of feedback, so I'm getting a little bit. Okay, there we go. So for my 1100 calorie intake, would have been 2 years ago this summer. I'm now up to around 3,000 to 4,000 a day.
Good girl.
So, and what happened initially is that my body was like, oh my gosh, food. And I was storing all of it. And then about 3 months after that, my body was like, oh, okay, yeah, we're getting this food every day. We don't need to store this. And then my weight went down again.
Yeah.
It was crazy. And now it's just like, I don't need to stress. Like, I don't count calories. I don't count my macros. I know what keto feels like in my body. I know what it feels like when I eat too many carbs. And I don't need to stress about, oh my gosh, should I have this extra 200 calories or X hundred calories? Because if I'm hungry, I'll eat. And if I'm not, I won't. And so it's so, you get so much more connected to your body, and you actually know, because your body knows when it's hungry. But if you're constantly counting and tracking and all of the things, you're not really allowing your body to speak
to you
for itself.
So do you think also, because like I usually suggest to people to start with tracking and counting so they can have a good perspective of what 1,000 calorie looks like.
Yes.
You know, what it feels like, how much food that is. And also, like, one thing that happens to a lot of my patients that come into the program is that they have no idea how much this much carbohydrates looks like, or this much protein, and their macros, they're all skewed. And so by tracking, they start having like a real visual about, this is what 20 grams looks like, this is what 40 grams look like, this is what 60 grams looks like. And then it's just a tool in their toolbox. And then once you have that connection with your body and with your food, then you can kind of, free form and go on with the flow and just see your food and know, okay, this is good. This is what I need.
Totally. I totally agree. I think the only time that doesn't work in my experience with myself as well as my clients is if you have any history of like disordered eating. And if somebody is obsessively tracking or somebody doesn't want to track, I won't encourage them to track, and we'll go off what their plate looks like. So I'll draw them out a circle.
Nice.
I'll be like, if every plate looks like this, and I'll draw like this amount of fat and put this here. And it's very much like macro tracking, but you don't have to sit with MyFitnessPal. Yeah, I outlined in my program, Fat Fueled, I had one of my friends draw out plates for me.
Cool.
And you can see like all the different sorts of plates if you just look top down, because there's some people that, and you can tell, hey, like when you're working with a client or a patient and the way that they speak about food, you're like, I don't think tracking is going to be very good for us to work on.
Yeah.
So I think that there's other ways to do it.
That's a great point. You want to tell me just a tiny bit about your program?
Yeah. So my current program right now is Fat Fueled, and I created it in November of last year. And I got into ketosis about 2 years ago, and I created the Keto Beginning, which was 30 days after eating keto. I was like, I should write a book and put together a program on what I did, because I lost so much weight. I felt great, and I wanted to put it out there. And then a year passed, and so much had changed in my body and the way that I saw keto. I adapted a carb up practice where I eat carbs almost every night. It usually works out to be about 3 or 4 times a night, or 3 or 4 times a week, rather.
Yes.
And so Fat Fueled is the next step up from my first program, the Keto Beginning, which is using ketosis to heal your body. And specifically for women, because there's so many resources out there for men. Like, I'm doing a lot of research for my book coming out next year, and it's like, men, and I'm like, what do I do about women? I really wanted to create a program, and it's a 30-day meal plan and guide to using carbs to your advantage and using ketosis to your advantage, and really having the balance between becoming adapted, listening to your body, and feeling better and nourishing thyroid, adrenals, sex hormones, all those things. And it couples very well with my meal planning program that I have called Balanced Keto. So it all kind of works together, and it's really exciting to see. And then my book coming out next year, published by Victory Belt, is more of a cookbook and a how-to guide. Like right now I'm working on ratios. Oh dear. I'm not good at math. Well, I am good at math. It's just a lot of work. And it's like ratios of protein, fat, carbohydrates, and net carbs of different nuts and seeds. So I'm going through the very nitty-gritty behind like how to eat high fat. So it'll be fun.
That's funny, because I kind of got the exact same things going on. To tell you, between you and I, we can probably have the world covered.
Awesome. Perfect.
We have a plan for conquering the world of keto.
Oh my gosh, won't that be great? I oftentimes when I get really overwhelmed with my work, and because it's hard, because I mean, we started this at a time where not a lot of people were talking about high fat, and I feel like times are changing. Oh, yes. Like majorly in the last 2-3 years. But I always remind myself, like, what would the world be like if more of us ate fat? Like, just if we could touch just like 1% of the population and just have more people eating more fat, like how huge of an impact that would make on our future, like globally. Yes. So it's exciting.
So much healthier, right?
Oh my gosh. And their mind flipped on. I did this thing, and I guess it could be very much tied into weight loss and like stalls. So I decided that my carb up option was going to be white rice. And I did that for like 2 weeks. And
how did that work out for you?
It was horrible. Like all my allergy tests say I'm not allergic to rice. Like it's totally good. And it feels fine in my body. But then I'm sitting like watching TV, and I'm like scratching my arm, and I'm looking down, and I have like keratosis pilaris like everywhere with like this rash thing. And then the next day I had a complete anxiety attack, like just couldn't even think. Wow. So it's so crazy to see what rice
Thank you for
does
doing
to
that
my
to
body.
yourself for the sake of science and experimenting.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. I
Yeah.
was like, I don't believe that white rice every day is okay.
No.
Like,
So listeners out there, take note. When you want to do a carb up, don't use white rice, please.
no, it literally made me crazy. Like,
It
I
doesn't
couldn't
matter
make
what you
choices.
read because there is so much misinformation in the world of keto. And that's another reason why I really like talking to Leanne, is because in the world of keto, there is a lot of different opinions. And you know what? I'm sorry to say, but I don't agree with most of them.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, it's interesting because some people try some things and it goes really, really well for them. Like, I have a friend that can eat white rice every day and she's keto and she rocks it. But
How old
me,
is
it's
she?
like, pardon me,
How old is your friend?
32?
That has something to say with that because, like, I am
Yeah.
47 right now, and my body
Wow.
is definitely not the same as when I was 32. And,
Wow.
most of my patients and my readers,
Yeah.
I would say they're over 40.
Yeah.
And things really changed because you have all these toxins accumulated. And going back to weight loss stalls, one of the things that I would like to mention from my side is that toxic load has a lot to do with that,
Oh my gosh, huge. Like,
And that's something that nobody talks about in the keto
Yeah.
world. Who talks about toxic load, and the necessity to really clean out your body before you can freely lose weight? And your body is not desperately holding on to every fat cell and all the fat because you're too toxic to process that out.
what do you use for cleansing? Like, because a lot of people, when they hear toxic load, they think juice fast.
No!
You know? So I get
No.
that question a lot. Like, okay, so I want to do a juice cleanse, but I'm keto. And I'm like, step away from the juicer. Like, don't do
Step
it.
back from the juice. Don't touch
Yeah.
it. Don't touch it.
Yeah, do not touch. My favorite are glutathione. I love liposomal glutathione for detoxification. So great.
I actually don't use it for detoxing. I use herbal
Okay.
products, but I use it a
Cool.
lot for gut repair. And I recommend it like at the very beginning of my program pretty much because as we start the detox, we start talking about allergens and, food sensitivities, which, detox is also means an elimination diet. So the next subject up is like, sensitivities, and glutathione is a great way to help heal the leaky gut that leads to the sensitivities.
Yeah, so
But
true.
I have been using more and more like different kinds of herbal products, and I've been studying herbs more and more. And I find that, it's a really powerful healing way. And I mean, herbal, remedies have been around as long as humans have been around, and they're kind of the original medicine. So I just going back to the roots and finding, the most natural possible way to balance and, heal your body that you can find. And I know you're very much on the same page with that in all your philosophy and everything.
Yeah, I love maca root and chasteberry. Those two for my hormones are like, if I go more than 3 days without them, I majorly notice an effect. Whereas vitamins, minerals, like it takes me a while, but like I can't live without those two.
Yeah.
Like I can't. So it's pretty interesting to see. I think the cleansing and detoxifying is so huge for weight loss dolls. That's such a huge piece. I use a near infrared sauna.
I love those.
Oh my
Love
gosh,
them,
my
love them,
Sauna
love
Space
them.
Pocket Sauna is amazing. I love it. I totally love it. I go in that thing every other day for about 20 to 30 minutes, and it's phenomenal. Have you been in one?
Yeah,
The near
I
infrared
love
pocket
it.
sauna?
Yes.
Amazing.
Yeah. And should I go on the not so comfortable topic for most people, but I gotta say that one of my favorite ways of helping detox is coffee enemas.
I knew you were going to go there.
Sorry.
That's amazing. I used to do those years ago. I haven't done one in a really long time.
I don't endorse coffee enemas on a regular basis, unlike a lot of other people. I just use them strictly and specifically during detox periods and never
Yeah.
for more than 2 weeks, because coffee is a substance that it is kind of a narcotic. It's a stimulant. And so you don't
Yeah.
want to use this for long periods of time. I mean, I'm taking my patients off of caffeine and then I give them coffee the other way around.
They're like, what? Can't I just drink it?
Yeah, exactly. That's a regular question. Can they just
Yeah.
drink it and we'll do the same? No, it doesn't. Well, I think we got a lot of good ideas here, and I think that we don't want to drag this call on forever and like get too much sidetracked as we're doing, but I think that we definitely have touched on some really important points here for weight loss stalls, and that also to open the perspective of a person that weight loss stalls are not all about macros, and it's not just about, oh, I'm eating too little carbs, or if I tweak the protein a little bit. There is a lot more to it than just that.
Yeah, I would say that makes up like 5%, really. And one thing that we didn't even touch on is the obsession around that and how that creates so much stress, which can cause the weight loss stall. So I think we covered a lot of things, I think, for those watching, and they're like, okay, but like, actually, what do I do? Because I get that question a lot. It's like, yeah, you guys talked, and a lot of things happened, but like, what do I do like right now? I think if you're the type of person who doesn't do well with counting macros and is super obsessed and completely stressed, and I was that person, like, I would hide in the cabinet, like the closet place where we keep all the food, the pantry type of thing. And I would like calculate all the things out. And I'm like, if I remove a teaspoon, will that make my macros fit? Like, I was so stressed about that. So if you're that person, I encourage you to like look at your plate and perhaps draw out a couple of things that your macros could fit into instead. That will relieve a lot of stress from you and perhaps help you bust through that plateau. And if cortisol or sex hormones are an issue for you, the best thing to do is probably test them. I'm a huge advocate for like testing your blood before you make like massive changes, because I've had so many clients that say, no, for sure, I have really high estrogen. And then we test it and it's like, no, you don't.
Yeah.
So I really like testing. Yeah. So I mean, for cortisol, you want it around the 550 mark is kind of what I shoot for. And these are metric numbers. I always have to convert them from the US stuff over to metric because I'm not. For thyroid, my favorite place is to look at free T3. And I like to be around the 6.5 mark for free T3. And that tells us like what your body's actually doing, how it's converting, and TSH. I'd like to be around 1.4. That's kind of, I'm on medication, desiccated thyroid for my thyroid, and I go on and off of it. But those are some places to look for like the blood test side of things. And then if you are stalling and reducing your food, just like we talked about, having perhaps playing around with eating more food. And my YouTube channel outlines a lot of that stuff. And I know a lot of your resources too.
Yes.
Go into like how to eat more.
Yeah,
it's a difficult thing.
I got some videos about that too. So come to me or go to Leanne.
Or do both.
Do both. That's the best.
Friday afternoon the YouTube party.
Best of both worlds.
Totally, yeah. I think that's super helpful, and like looking at different places and really coming up with your own ideas, because we're sitting here because we've experimented like with white rice or eating more fat and kind of figured out what works well for our bodies. And I think that's so important for anyone watching, is like, what works for me is probably not going to work for you 100%. So if you watch your resources and my resources, and I'm saying one thing and maybe you're saying something a little bit different, try both and see which one
happens.
fits. Yeah, very rarely.
Right.
Maybe. And I think one that we didn't even touch on, well, we did kind of, is like the Carbup thing. And for me, Carbups have been not only helpful for weight, but also for my peace of mind and sanity.
I was actually planning on doing a whole other interview with you on the Carbups.
Amazing. Okay, so I'm gonna zip
In the meantime, you can go look at Leanne's channel about Carbups. But as far as my watchers and my readers, I want to have Leanne back ASAP and talk about that specific subject because she has a huge wealth of knowledge on how to do it, right? For women with hypothyroidism and adrenal problems and sex hormone problems.
And maybe without white rice.
Yes. So we are going to continue this conversation in depth ASAP so that Leanne can bring us and share some of this amazing wealth she has inside of her. She looks all innocent and cute, and she's just like a full encyclopedia walking around.
I love that. That's so great. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Leanne. This was really great. And I encourage everybody to ask questions for this topic. So please ask questions in the post, ask questions on Facebook, ask questions by email. And, either Leanne or I will probably answer most of them. But if something that you want Leanne to answer, please tag her on Facebook or, ask for Leanne, and then we'll go find her knowledge and bring it to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for being here, and we'll talk again soon.
Bye.
Bye.